12 and 6. And the woman, and the gyne, remember the word gyne, gynecologist, okay? And the gyne, she fled unto the wilderness. Now, who is this woman? Do you remember who this woman is?
Israel.
Israel. All right, this is Israel. She fled unto the wilderness, Aramu, the desert, the wilderness, where she has there a place, having been prepared from God, in order that there he might nourish her days 1,260. In other words, 1,260 days, or how long is that? 3.5 years. All right, this is during this period of time right here, the second half of the tribulation period. We got a new map up here, right here, the panoramic, prophetic panoramic view there. And on your little chart that I handed out, have all of you got one of these little charts? Kathy, did you get one of these? Everybody, Brother David, do you have one of these? Everybody have one of these things? Have one of these? Okay. The second half, the 3.5 year period of time, we're in the second half of that period of time now. The Antichrist, in the middle of the week, is what it says. The Antichrist stands up in Jerusalem at the altar of God and says what?
He is God.
That he is God, and God tells Israel, when you hear that, get out of here. Don't go back into your house. If you're on your rooftop in an afternoon siesta and you hear about this, he said, take off and go by the road of the rooftops. Do not go in the house, jump from roof to roof, and get out of here. Don't go take anything. Leave instantly. All right? That's what they call the highway of the rooftops. We'll talk about that a little later. God's churches are now gone, and there is, at the age that we live in today, there is no need for continuous revelation. You know what I mean about that? There is no need for continuous revelation. What is continuous revelation? Catholics have it. Pentecostals have it. Mormons have it. Jehovah's Witnesses have it. What's this continuous revelation or continuing revelation?
That God is supposedly still telling us.
He's still picking out prophets and stuff to lead his people with. Now, we know that that's not correct, okay? Jesus said, and this is part of this question that you had, Brother Rex. I want you to read that in just a minute. All right? Jesus said, you're Peter, a little stone, but upon this gigantic foundation rock, Petra, I shall be building my church, and the gates of hell cannot wrestle her down, nor will they be able to wrestle her down. Okay? He said in Matthew 28:18-20, he said, after you've been kicked out into the world, the persecution had come on the church at Jerusalem. He said, you go out and teach and preach, evangelize, make disciples, baptize those disciples, teach them to guard with their lives what I've handed down to you, and lo, I'll be with you until the end of the age. That's right here. When that church age is finished, then there's going to be a rapture, okay? But now, after the churches have gone and all the saved are raptured during the tribulation period, now there's a need for continuous revelation. All right? The Catholics said that they shut off the Bible, basically. They shut it down, don't read the Bible. Believe only what we say to you. This is the dogma of the Catholic Church. Jehovah's Witnesses, you read our books only. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't you turn on the TV. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't do nothing. We only can interpret the Bible for you. Okay? And they got revelations. When the Lord would come back, all this kind of stuff. The Mormons, according to the Mormon religion, Joseph Smith received a revelation from the angel Moroni and said that God was dissatisfied with all of the churches and that he wanted to start another one. But according to God's Word doesn't change. God said he's going to be with the church until the end of this age. Period. Now, when God makes a promise, if he made the promise to Abraham, is Abraham's promise still good today? You're living under it. In your seed shall all be blessed. Okay, we're living. The promises are solid still. But now, when the tribulation period comes, we're going to have some different revelation now. We've got the Bible today, and the Bible is our full need. It's our instruction manual. We don't need anything else. That's it. Okay? But during the tribulation period now, God is going to be making revelations. He's got 2 witnesses over there, don't he? We looked at about 10 or 12 different guys that could be those 2 witnesses. They're going to be preaching. What else? Who else is going to be revelating? Angels from heaven. And then we find out that now, after Israel realizes that that they have crucified the Messiah, they're going to be preaching. There's going to be 144,000 of them sealed, and they're not Joel witnesses. Those are Israelites. These are from the 12 tribes of Israel, and it names the 12 tribes. Period. Now, I don't want to go through that tribulation period. That tribulation period is to bring Israel back to God. It's going to judge the world for how they've done Israel, okay? But the church, all of the saved and the churches of the Lord Jesus Christ are already raptured. They're up in heaven with the Lord. They're in the wedding feast for 1 week. And the week is talking about a week of years, which is 7 years, okay? So they're up there having a big party. Down on the earth, they're having hell on earth. Okay? But it's going to bring Israel back to God. Okay? And during this period of time, there's different revelations from different groups because the church is gone. The Bible has been fulfilled, basically. We're studying the book of Revelation right now. We're going to have that. We're seeing what's going to happen during that period of time. But the gospel is being miraculously preached. Brother X.
This is where it says that this dragon is the woman's about to give birth, and the dragon's there to devour her child.
Uh-huh.
Now, is that Israel we're talking about?
We're talking about Israel. We're talking about the Christ child. Who did Satan use on this earth to try to kill Jesus?
He used Israel.
Who was specifically? There was a person that tried to kill him. Who tried to kill Jesus when he found out he was born?
Oh, Herod.
Herod was being used directly by Satan, and this tells you that. That's what it says.
But in this instance here,
Mm-hmm.
Israel is already reborn.
No, not yet.
Well, I mean, it's a nation.
Yeah, but it's talking about the Christ child, where it's talking when a woman gave birth, the Christ child.
Yeah.
Now this was going to be the fulfillment. Jesus was a fulfillment of all of the Israel's need to even exist. During this period of time back here, Israel was an administrator of God's kingdom. When the Christ child was born, it was over.
You know,
They were so.
You're still not answering my question.
Okay, maybe I don't understand it then.
Okay, Israel is already a nation.
Yes.
Now, this dragon is there to destroy Israel.
But
But he says that she's going to give birth, but
okay, Israel, the whole purpose of Israel was to bring forth the Christ child.
yeah.
And they were supposed to point the world to every one of those sacrifices. All that tabernacle was supposed, God is going to become flesh and He's going to redeem you. And when the Christ child came, the purpose of Israel was gone in this world as the administrator, and God called out His church and set Israel aside. But in the end times, He's going to turn back to Israel, because Israel is going to rule on this earth with the Lord, for 1,000 literal years on earth. The Jehovah's Witnesses say they don't want to go to the heaven, they want to go to the kingdom. Well, going to the kingdom is through the tribulation period, people. And I guarantee you they're going to go into the tribulation period. Probably won't get to the kingdom. But Israel, that tribulation period is to bring Israel back to God so that they can be made worthy to be the leaders, spiritual leaders, administrators for 1,000 years on the earth. God's not finished with Israel, but He set Israel aside for now. God won't turn back to Israel until the tribulation period, after the church age. So He's still dealing with the world through the church today. Okay? Did I answer it? Yeah? Not yet. Or did I miss?
Ask it again.
Okay. She gave birth to a son. Now, is that Christ or we're
That's
talking about-
Christ.
Well, let's happened, but that's already happened.
Yes,
and
it already
been
happened.
forgot about. I mean, not forgot about, but it's already happened.
Uh-huh.
Well, how can it be happening now?
It's telling, that's a historical event that
Oh, okay,
happened.
okay.
Okay, it's a historical event
Okay,
that happened.
where did the nation have to run to hide from these?
Okay,
at that
now,
time?
during this period of time, she's going to run to Petra, the city of rocks, evidently the desert. Most Bible scholars believe that they're going to go down there and run down there, and then God's going to, and while they're going down there, I mean, we're working our way toward that. But when they go down there and run by the roadway of the rooftops, like I told you about a few minutes ago, we find out that Satan's armies through the Antichrist are going to go after her. And what is going to stop Satan's armies from killing her, the nation of Israel?
Say God will.
God's going to use the earth to swallow them up. He's going to use some natural resources to swallow them up. It's going to be a great earthquake. It says the earth just swallows them up.
Like the last time,
Yeah, like he did
Red
over
Sea.
in Korah's day.
like the Red Sea.
Well, the Red Sea, that's all. These are all penal miracles. What we call penal miracles of judgment. Okay? Now let's go on a little bit further here.
Well, let me ask you one.
Okay.
I had it in my mind, go ahead.
Okay, all
Think
right.
of it.
Now, there was no need for continuous revelation at this period of time, but during this time, we're going to have new witnesses up. Okay,
Okay, it was, a while ago you talked about the snatching away, or people being on the rooftops,
yes.
and one being snatched away.
No, I didn't say that.
No? Oh,
No.
okay.
I
Then
said
missed
if
it.
you're on the rooftop taking an afternoon siesta, get out of here. When you hear about the Antichrist standing in the temple saying that he is God, don't even go down in the house. Hit the rooftops and go from rooftop to rooftop. Get out of here.
So
and
the
head
other
off.
one is at the rapture,
Yeah.
when you're on
This
the
is
rooftop.
after the rapture. This is in the middle of the tribulation period, in the middle, right here. On your little map that I gave you there, it's right here, in the middle. In the middle. Right in the middle. Okay? This is this period of time that takes place now. All right? This is when this happens. Now let's go and look at the rock of Israel. Okay? Brother Rex, go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 4. And Brother Dan, if you can go to Exodus 17 and verse 6. And Numbers 28 through 12. Psalm 78, 12 through 16. Matthew 16, 18. We've already discussed that. Romans 9:33. 1 Samuel 22 and 2. Psalm 18 and verse 2. And Psalm 71 and verse 3 and 78 verse 16. 2 Peter 2 and 8. Did anybody get any of those down? Did you grab one of them?
Well, I did until you named them all off.
Okay. All right. Brother Dan, you're going to go to Exodus 17 and 6. And Kathy, you're going to, you can find those things so fast you can just fly through there. So I'm going to trust you can get any of those things real fast. Numbers 20, 8 through 12. Brother Mike, Psalm 78 and verse 12 through 16. And Dave, 2 Samuel 22 and 22. Brother Rex, would you read 1 Corinthians, the 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 4. He asked me a question this morning. He said, I was talking about the rock following Israel through the wilderness, watering them and feeding them. And go through 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 5.
Are these supposed to be in our book?
What?
The ones you just read off?
I just read them all. You can
They're
put them
not
in
in our
here at
book.
the end. Okay, they're not in there right now, but you can write them in, okay? As we go to these places, you can look at them.
Right.
This is the rock that is going to protect Israel. Okay? It says, where that he might nourish and protect her. This is the one that's going to nourish and protect her. 1 Corinthians 10 and 4, Brother Rex.
And all drank the same spiritual drink, for they were drinking from a spiritual rock, which followed them, and the rock was Christ.
Okay, this is talking about Israel in the wilderness, way back over here now. After the Egyptian bondage, Israel was out there in that wilderness, out in that desert, and it said the rock followed them. And then who was the rock?
Christ.
Christ. Okay, read up one verse above this and then that one.
And all ate the same spiritual food.
Yeah, who was that?
That's all the Israel.
That's also Jesus. Who was the true bread that came down from heaven? Jesus stood up one day and says, I am the water of life. I am the bread of life. And he said, also, I'm the rock. Okay? Matthew 16 and 18, he said, you are Peter, a little stone, but upon this gigantic rock I shall be building my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now, he was speaking to the church and to Peter. Okay? What do you think Peter said about the same situation? Peter interpreted it in 2 Peter 2 and 8. 2 Peter 2 and 8. Are you over there, Mike? Are you anywhere?
I'm at Psalms.
Oh, you're at Psalms. Okay, 2 Peter 2 and 8. Let's find out who Peter... Now, since Jesus was talking to Peter and the church, we're going to find out how Peter interpreted Jesus'
I can
words.
read that.
Huh?
2 Peter 2 and 8.
2 Peter 2 and 8.
Okay. For by what he saw and heard, that righteous man, while living among them, felt his righteous soul tormented day after day.
Is that 2 Peter? Or is it 1 Peter?
2 Peter 2, 8.
Okay, put it 1 Peter then.
Okay.
I couldn't read my own writing.
1 Peter 2 and 8. Okay, just a second.
Yeah, 1 Peter. It's back yonder just a little bit.
And a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, for they stumbled because they are disobedient to the word, and to his doom they were also appointed.
Okay, Jesus was a stone of stumbling to them. By the way, Jesus was not a carpenter. He was probably a stonemason. We don't have any carpenter terms used, but there's one stonemason term after another that he used. He was a stonemason. The Masonic Lodge used to say that Jesus was a mason, a stonemason, many times. But the word in Greek is stonemason. It can mean carpenter, but there basically weren't any carpenters back then. They didn't use much wood back then. It was, if they had it, they'd make a chair or something like that. They weren't building houses. But he used, over and over again, he used mason terms. Brother Rex.
I've been reading Josephus, and he's talking about some city there in Israel that burned down because it was all made of wood.
There may have been some areas that they used lumber, but they didn't. Lumber was a very, very scarce commodity. They usually used wood and everything else for war machines and arrows and stuff, so they could shoot people with them. They burned up all the wood. All right. Let's go on now to Exodus 17 and verse 6. Did you go there, Dan?
I did. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, and that the people may drink.
All right. This is this rock. Now the rock, we understand, was Christ. He was the rock that was struck. Okay? Numbers 20, 8 through 12. Someone over there in Numbers now? Are you there, Mike? Who's over there? Anybody in Numbers 20?
Numbers 28.
Now this is the one. This is the same person that is going to protect Israel. God protected and nourished Israel in the Old Testament. Okay? And he's going to do it again during the latter part of the tribulation period. Okay? Who's got Numbers 20? Mike?
8 through 12.
Yes.
Take the rod, and you and your brother Aaron assemble the congregation, and speak to the rock before their eyes, that it may yield its water. You shall thus bring forth water for them out of the rock, and let the congregation and their beasts drink.
Now, they're Bible theologians. They don't understand everything they know about this here rock business. This rock followed Israel. We know that that rock was Jesus. Did they have a rock that really followed them during that time? Maybe. I don't know. It would be a miracle if they carried this rock, and if they spoke to the rock or struck to the rock wherever they were, and water flowed out like a river, it says. Like a river coming out of this rock. That would be pretty miraculous. Even if it was rock out there on the ground or on the side of the hill, and they struck it or spoke to it, and all this water come out, it's miraculous. It was a miracle of God. Rocks don't usually have water in them. Do they? Rocks are rock. Okay. All right. Now, Psalm 78, 12 through 16. Psalm 28, 12 through 16, and then...
I got that one.
Okay, and then Matthew 7:24, if somebody wants to go there. Matthew 7:24. Are you anywhere around on any of these, David?
Yeah, 2 Samuel 22:22.
Okay, that's good. Let's read 2 Samuel 22, and then we'll go over to you, Mike. So don't lose your place.
22:22.
22:2.
I'm sorry?
2 Samuel 22 and verse 2.
Okay.
Not far from the 22.
And he said, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer."
Okay, the Lord, Jehovah, is my rock. That's who it was. Jesus said, "You're Peter, but upon this great rock I will build my church." He's talking about himself. In Peter there, it says that the rock was Jesus. He was a stumbling block to Israel. Okay? A stumbling block. All right. And then Psalm 7, we went to Psalm 78, didn't we already?
No.
We didn't. Psalm 78, 12 through 16, are you there?
Okay, he wrought wonders before their fathers in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zoan. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters
We're
stand up.
talking about the penal judgments and miracles in the Old Testament.
And he made the waters stand up like a heap. Then he led them with the cloud by day, and all the night with a light of fire. He split the rocks in the wilderness, and gave them abundant drink like the ocean depths. He brought forth streams also from the rock, and caused waters to run down like rivers.
All right. The rock was Christ, of course. All right. Now, Psalm 7 and 3 and Psalm 78, 16. We're going to confirm who this rock is that's going to protect Israel. He protected them in the Old Testament. He's going to do it here. Okay? Who's got Psalm 71 and verse 3? You over there, Kathy? Any of those things? No, we'll take you right. Have you just about got that new Bible broke in?
Psalm 71, verse 3. Be thou to me a rock of habitation, to which I may continually come. Thou hast given commandment to save me, for thou art my rock and my fortress.
All right. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. That's what it's talking about. It's always talking about Jehovah is the rock. And Jesus, remember, Matthew 16, 18, you're a little stone, but upon this gigantic foundation stone I'll be building my rock, or my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And Psalm 78, 16? Psalm 78, 16, are you over there, Brother Dan? Anywhere? No. Okay.
That's the one we just read, right?
Yeah. Or was it 73, 1, verse
We
3?
read 78 verses 12 to 16.
Okay, 78, 12 through 16. Now, did we read that one?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, now go to Matthew 7 and 24.
There, here.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, boy, we got her.
Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock.
All right. Founded upon the rock. It's talking about build your house upon a rock. Back then, if you build your house in a wash, it's not too good an idea. Don't go build your house in a riverbed on sand. You're going to be in trouble. All right? When you do that. All right, 12 and verse 7 now. Revelation 12 and 7. Let's go there. We got war in heaven now. We're going to start talking about the old devil. All right? And how many of you got your doctrines of the Bible? Remember I taught that class, the doctrines of the Bible? And we've got the doctrine of the devil. So we need to look back at that lesson just a little bit. Okay? And it came to pass, it occurred, war, polemos, war in heaven. And Michael, the Michael, all right? And the angels of him to make war with the Draconta, all right? The dragon, the great snake in the sky, all right? The great snake. Remember in the book of Genesis, Genesis 3 and 1, it said, we Nahash. It said, and the snake, Nahash. Can you say Nahash? Nahash. That sounds like a snake, doesn't it? Nahash. That's the Hebrew word. Okay? Boy, I used to teach the little kids, and I teach them things like that. They just have a ball with that. They could all go home and tell them their mamas what the Hebrew word for snake was, Nahash. They run around saying Nahash, Nahash all the time. And Nahash, it says, and the snake became more deceptive than all of the beasts of the open field. All right, he became. God didn't create him that way. He became that way. Now here's the same old Nahash here in the New Testament in the last book. And the dragon. And the dragon, he fought. And the angels of him. All right, now we have Michael, we have his angels, and we have the dragon, which is Satan, and we have his angels. Now they're having a war, an angelic war, and angel feathers and hair, and spit and teeth are flying, and claws.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know everything I know. I don't understand everything I know about this. What do you think about this, Brother Dan? What do you think of angels? How do you think they fight?
Probably they don't fight dirty.
They what?
They probably don't fight dirty.
They don't fight dirty. You don't think they bite and claw and,
I don't know.
and kick?
I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know, but I know
Pretty
they're doing it. I know it's powerful. Maybe you've seen some of these Star Wars movies where they go, you know, like that, and things and sparks just fly. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're war. They're having a war. It says it does. And not, he was strong enough, and no place was found of them still in the heaven. In other words, they were kicked out. Satan had other conflicts with Michael, didn't he? Jude 6 through 9. Jude, that's the right book, right before the book of Revelation. Let's go look in Jude 6 through 9. Okay? And Daniel 12 and 1, and Daniel 10 and 10, and Job 1 and 6. We've got the old devil, we're pegging him down now. Let's look at him. Who's got Jude?
I got
It's
Jude.
right before the book of Revelation. This is the book,
What
right?
chapter?
What?
What chapter?
Jude 6
Number 1.
through 9. Jude 6 through 9. Let's go look here and see what Jude says about the devil. He's one who quotes the book of Enoch, doesn't he? Enoch says more about the devil and his angels than any other writing in history. Are you over there, Brother Rex?
I'm trying.
All right. It's a big book, isn't it?
I'm trying so good, but 6 you said.
Yes.
1-6 or?
No, well,
No,
one. There's only one
Only
chapter
one.
in Jude, so it's got to be verse 6.
Oh yeah, here they go.
Uh-huh.
And angels who did not keep their own domain but abandoned their proper abode, he has kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day.
These are some of the most dangerous angels. God put them in jail. And they're in jail. They've been in jail until this period of time. Now he's going to turn them loose. Okay? And they're out here. They're fighting and warring.
Well, he didn't put Satan in there with them.
Well, these are,
He's doing
my
his job.
opinion is, these were Michael's angels. These are some that's descended from Michael. I don't think that every one of Lucifer, or I don't think every one of Lucifer's angels went with him. There are 3 realms of angels that we know about. Most people believe this, okay? Here we have angels, all right? Angels means what? Comes from the Greek word angelos, all right? They're messengers. There was a, and this makes sense. What kind of God do we serve? A triune God. I don't mean 3 gods now. I mean a triune God, 3 in 1. What are you? You're made in His image, aren't you? How many aspects of you are there? 3. There's body, there's soul, and there's spirit. Okay, body, soul, and spirit. Now, in the angelic realm, there is body, soul, and spirit. Think about that for a while. Let's split this up in about 3 different pieces. The material realm of God. What angel was over the material realm of God?
Satan.
Tangible. Lucifer. He became Satan later. Lucifer. That's material. That's matter. All right? This is matter. Okay? It's material. Over the material realm. Are there guardian angels in the material realm today? Are there guardian angels in the material realm today? I guarantee you I've kept them busy in my life. Absolutely. They're in the material realm. So did all of Lucifer's go with him? If there's still angels working in the material realm? No, couldn't have. How many of them went? I don't know how many. But there's some of them probably stayed with the Lord. Now, let's look over here in spirit realm. And look, now, we have a triune God, and you're triune. Just everything that God made is triune in His image, so many ways. Who was in the spiritual realm?
Michael.
All right. Well,
How do you say it in Greek with an E sound?
Huh?
With the E sound in Greek, there's no I, right? Or
What?
is there? In Greek?
Michael?
Yeah. How do you say it?
Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. This is Michael. See it right there?
Yeah, but I was looking at your vowels over here. It's A, E, and O, or something like that. No I. I couldn't find it.
That's how you spell it in Greek, right there. Michael. It's almost exactly like English. Michael. Okay? Michael. All right? Michael. He's over the spiritual realm. Spirit. That's where life is. That's what sustains life. All of this stuff. And it is a very powerful realm. Okay, now, we have another realm of angels. All right? And who's this guy? Over this Gabriel. All right? Gabriel. All right. Gabriel. What realm does he deal with? Here is material. Here is spirit.
He's a messenger, I know that.
Communications.
The mental realm. Who actually made all the plans of the creation? Who's in the mental realm of God? The Father. Who put everything in force?
The Son.
The Son. All right? Material realm. Who is the physical expression of the Godhead?
Christ.
Jesus. He is all the God you are ever going to see. He is it. All right. Spirit realm. What is God in spirit? Spirit. The Holy Spirit. God the Spirit. It says Ruach Elohim in the Old Testament. Spirit God. And corresponding to all of these are angelic. There is an angelic force. How many of you ever heard this before? Did you ever? How many didn't hear this before? Nobody? All right. This is good. God reveals Himself in His creation. He revealed Himself to us in the tabernacle. We've been studying the tabernacle. Everything in that tabernacle tells about God the Son. Our Savior. That all tells about everything that He created tells about the God of heaven. Have you ever heard of Patty Phillips?
Say it
Patty
again.
Phillips. Patty Phillips. All right. Patty Phillips was a watchmaker. Okay. He designed watches and really did some fantastic things. You heard about Rolex. Everybody's heard about Rolex. Well, above Rolex is Patty Phillips and Vacheron Constantin. These are real high-grade watches. All right. These people were watchmakers. And their name, when their name goes on something, I mean, it is quality. And it tells you something about the person. How about an artist? Does an artist reveal himself to those that view his work?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, God is an artist, and God has revealed Himself in His creation. Okay. God has revealed Himself in His creation. He has revealed Himself in you. God created man in what? His image. You know, when you see God one of these days, you know who you're going to see? The one whose image you were created in. Jesus. The pre-incarnate Jesus. Everything in the Bible tells us about our Creator God. The angels tell us about our Creator. So we have Lucifer, corresponding to whom in the Godhead? Material realm, Jesus, the Son. All right. We have Gabriel. Gabriel. Think about that. Gabriel. What did Gabriel do in his work? He communicated. How does God speak to you? Through His Word, through His revelation. Doesn't he?
The Holy Spirit.
Yeah, the Holy Spirit. And then, of course, we have Spirit. What gives everything in the world life? Spirit. When an animal dies, what happens? Its spirit leaves and goes back to God. When you die, the spirit is in you, leaves. It leaves your body. All right? Spirit means also wind in Greek and Hebrew. Ruah and pneuma, it means wind. It means to blow. It means to move something. Brother Farrar used to say he was crippled. He had a crippling disease from he was the oldest victim of, I can't even think of this disease he had now. It was a crippling disease.
Boy.
What? Muscular dystrophy. He was the oldest living muscular dystrophy victim. He said, I look at myself and I crawl around and everything, and he'd sit there with he had a mind that was giant. The most educated, the most well-read man I ever sat under in my life as a teacher. He was bar none. He read everything. Brilliant man. But he was very crippled in his physical condition. He said, I can't wait. He said, everything that God creates wants to move. He said, I'll be glad when I can get up and run. 5 years old. He could run until he was 5 years old, and after that, it was over with. It was over with. His physical abilities were over at that age. But I tell you what, he worked mentally in the mental field. I guarantee you. Well, here we have this 3 realms of the angelic order. Now, the most dangerous ones that we can find out are Michael's realm. Some of these probably went with Lucifer, a certain percent of them. Those are the ones that were probably, and most people believe this, most theologians believe that these are the ones that were put in prison because they're so powerful in creation. All right? What do these angels do here? Now, when they rebelled, what happened to the earth? The earth, she became tohu wabohu. We became formless and void. Evidently, there was light in the first creation because there's all kinds of vegetation. There were animals and everything, and they need light. There evidently was light in the first creation. But when it became destroyed, these powerful angels destroyed God's creation, and she became formless and void. And then it says, darkness, Wishak, was over the faces of the deep. Wishak Elpani Tahom was over the faces of the deep. These are this powerful bunch. Some of these were put in jail, over here in the jailhouse. They're going to be in the jailhouse until God turns them back loose on this earth. All right? To wreak more havoc. Look at the havoc that they wrecked in the tribulation period. We know what happened in times past. You can go out here and drill oil wells, and I've drilled oil wells, and be 2 miles deep in the ground and run into clam shells and forms of life down there that got down there somehow. It's there. Well, according to the Bible, I think that this bunch right here is the ones that so powerfully destroyed the earth. Gabriel, messengers. If you, I think some of them went with Satan's bunch. In seances, and even in false religions, I believe Lucifer's spirits and angels actually deal with people in false religions and inspire them to do what they have done. I think he inspired Buddha. I think he inspired Joseph Smith. I think he inspired Charles Taze Russell. I believe these people inspired many, many people. in false religious systems. And if you go to a palmist, what they call a palmist, those people that tell, they have a hand up here like this, we'll read your palms. They'll tell you prophecy. They are so-called prophets. We know that the Bible talks about them all the way back. Now, if they're really looking into the future and so on and so forth, and evidently some of them can. Do you know what they're using? God doesn't reveal these things to you. They're in Gabriel's realm. And in all of these realms, there is angels and spirits. Angels have form. Spirits want to inhabit human or animal flesh. Look in Acts the 16th chapter and verse 16, we find a woman there, a damsel. She was absolutely possessed by a spirit. The spirit, it says, of a pythona, the great snake, the great dragon. Okay? One of those that went with Satan. And she could tell fortunes, and she made a lot of money doing this. There are some people that actually do that. I wouldn't do this if I was a police officer, but they use these psychics to find people sometimes. Did you know that? They actually do that. Psychics. I'm going to tell you, if they're working in any realm, it's working from those that rebelled against God in Gabriel's realm, the messenger realm. Okay? Have you got that down just a little bit? Do you have any questions about this? Okay. Let's go on. No place was found for them in heaven. Daniel 12 and verse 1. Did we go to Daniel 12 and 1? We found out a few places where Satan was fighting. Daniel 10 through 14, Daniel 12 and 1, and Job 1 and 6. Let's look at a few more things and get it nailed down a little bit better. Dan, are you around any of those places?
And Job 1 and 6.
Job 1 and 6, okay.
Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "From where do you come?"
All right, B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. All right. Sons of God basically is a term used in the Old Testament for angels. The sons of God came, and so did Satan. He was there also. The angels and Lucifer came into the presence of God. Okay? Now let's go in Daniel 12 and verse 1. Who's in Daniel 12 and verse? Are you over there, Kathy?
Yeah.
Are you any place over there, David?
I'm here.
Okay. 12 and 1, Kathy.
Now at that time, Michael, the great prince, who stands guard over the sons of your people, will arise. And there will be a time of distress, such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. Then at that time, your people, everyone who is found written in the book, will be rescued.
Okay, now that's talking in the book of Daniel. This is thousands of years ago, people. Daniel said that this what was going to happen here in the book of Revelation in the 10th chapter and verse 7 is going to happen. And who is going to be the rescuer of the nation of Israel? Michael. Michael's going to fight. He's under God. He's going to go out there and fight. And it says, and it happened, it came to pass that war in the heaven, and Michael and the ones angels with him make war with the dragon and the angels with him. Now here we have war. And back here in the book of Daniel it says it's going to happen. Now Daniel the 10th chapter, verse David?
Verse 10 to 4.
Verse 10 and verse 10.
Suddenly a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palms of my hands. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you. While he was speaking this word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, Do not fear, Daniel, for from this first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words.
All right, keep on going just a little bit.
But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princesses, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the king of Persia.
All right, the king of Persia there is talking about Lucifer. He was over Persia. There are nations under angelic forces today and then. Okay? Right there we have three groups of angels represented, right there in that book of Daniel. We have, who's speaking to Daniel? Who's speaking to Daniel?
Michael?
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
We have Gabriel. All right. Who withstood Michael? Lucifer or Satan? And of course, was Michael there? So we have all three archangels right there in the book of Daniel. All three of them right there. How many of you ever looked at that before? Right. We've got three groups of angels right there fighting. All right. We have Lucifer, the prince of Persia, over the prince of Persia. We have Gabriel, which was the one that was revealing to Daniel this thing. And then we have Michael, that withstood the prince of Persia, which was Lucifer, because from the very day that Daniel prayed, God had sent Gabriel. And who withstood Gabriel? The old devil. The old devil withstood him. All right, so now there we've got a pretty good handle on the devil, and we've got a pretty good handle on the angelic forces, don't we? And it also, we found out that the angelic forces reveal God a little way. His creation reveals himself, doesn't it?
14.
Yes.
Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days yet to come.
All right, and by the way, the book of Daniel tells that there's going to be a 7-year period of time, this tribulation period that's talked of here in the book of Revelation, and right in the middle of the week, this terrible thing's going to happen. The devil's going to it's just going to be turned loose. He stands up, and he tells his people to take off running. All right. Now we're going to look at Lucifer's many titles here in the 9th chapter, in the 9th verse of the 12th chapter of Revelation. And he was cast out the dracona, the dragon, the fiery red snake. Now in mythology, the seraphim. Remember we studied about the seraphim. Remember, how many of you remember the seraphim? What about the seraphim? In mythology, what did the seraphim look like? That's a Hebrew word, seraphim. Page 976, if you want to look it up in Brown Driver and Briggs Hebrew lexicon.
A flying fiery snake.
It was a flying red fiery serpent with wings. That's what the seraphim was in Greek, or in Persian and Assyrian mythology. All right, that's what it was. Yes, Brother Ed.
The Aztecs had the same god.
That's right. You know, these things, they travel from one society to another. Let's just think for a few minutes now. Where did the human race come from? Anybody know? Kathy, you know where the human race came from?
God created Adam and Eve.
God created Adam and Eve. There's where the whole human race came from. Did God tell Adam a lot of things? Who was God? Who was Adam's teacher?
It'd be God.
God was. He taught Adam directly. How long did Adam live? Almost 1,000 years. God was teaching him. He wasn't a dummy. Adam was brilliant. Okay, he revealed a lot of things to him, and he revealed how that man was supposed to worship him, and he was going to hand this down to his children. Wasn't he? Why, Eve probably had close to 1,000 children, probably 1,000 children. That's a lot of kids. They had a lot. She had a lot of them at a time, and a lot of them. All right. It says in the Hebrew that Adam kept on knowing Eve. He kept on having sexual relationships with her, and she kept on having kids. Lots of them. One of them's name was Cain. Remember Cain? His name means gotten, doesn't it? Or acquired. They thought he was a Messiah, but that one ended up killing Abel, another child that she had. And then it says Cain went off in the land of wandering. He became a Bedouin. That's what it means. The land of Nod, that means Bedouin. It means wandering. Okay? And he took his wife with him. And then he had kids. Okay? The earth is being quickly populated with all these people, all these. And scientifically, medically, we know that a woman can have 1,000 children. And people in the old age, before the flood, were living how long?
Almost 1,000 years.
900 to 1,000 years. And if a woman has a child every 9 months or has children every 9 months, could she produce 1,000 children?
Come close.
Yes. She can do that. If God put 1,000 eggs in a woman's womb, you can just bet your bottom dollar that He meant for them to have 1,000 children.
I sure hate to have to kill.
Well, if they'd have stayed in the garden, they'd have been all right. Because God planted the garden. Everything, there wasn't any weeds to chop either. All right. No weeds to chop or anything. So we have mankind, and in mankind we all have the same truth transmitted. But the devil always gets busy confusing it, doesn't he? He always stays busy. He'll twist it up and turn the truth into a religion. And how does he do it? Everything that you see in the Bible. God created the heavens and the earth in perfect order. Cosmos means order. The devil destroyed it. The Babylonians said that God created the heavens and the earth in a chaos. God doesn't create chaos, He creates order. And then He brought it into order. Okay? That's what they believed when they translated the Septuagint. They took the Hebrew and twisted it up to mean the Babylonian idea of creation. We have all of these satanic forces back then. Everything that God does. Is there a spirit world? We have God the Spirit. But do we have a spirit world? The spirit of disobedience? No. That leads people astray. Do we have the transmission of material, or not material, but mental ability of transmission from the satanic world to the humankind? Sure we do. And Satan is a copycat. He likes to copy what God has done. He likes to imitate God. He wants to be God. So when God makes something, establishes something, Lucifer will duplicate it or copycat it. So everything you see that's true, there's going to be error in it. Also, there's going to be error. If there's true religion, then there is false religion. If there is truth, then there's anti-truth, okay, or lies. Simple as that. All right, and the dragon, the great serpent, the ancient serpent. By the way, archangel. The term archangel is a Greek term, archangel, but in Hebrew it means head angel, rosh. Head angel, and that's what this word is. Ancient times. All right? And the serpent, the archangel of ancient times, the one being called Diabolos, the devil. Diabolos. Diabolos means to what? Brother Mike, you remember what Diabolos means?
Oppose, maybe, I forget.
Dia and balo. Diabolo. Maryland.
Is Hebrew?
No, diabolo.
What means to pierce?
It means to pierce. It means to destroy. It means to kill. It's like somebody shooting you with an arrow or throwing a spear through you. Diabolos means destroyer. It means to destroy, and kill. All right? What did Satan introduce in the garden? He's the father of death and the father of lies. All right? That's what he is. The devil, and then it says Satanos. Now this word Satan means to stand against. That's the one that stands against. We got the word Diabolos. We got him called a snake. We got him called a destroyer, or the devil, and then we got him the opposer, Satan. The one deceiving, leading astray. Everything, every truth that you have in the Bible, someone's going to have a counter truth. If you were going to attack the Bible and do away with salvation, what would you do if you were a false prophet under Satan? What would you do? What would be the first thing that you would attack? What did Lucifer attack in the garden?
People are after God's word.
Well, he was going to... What did he say? He attacked the person of God, didn't
You
he?
shall not surely die. Yeah.
First of all, he said, what God has revealed to you isn't going to happen. He's a liar. God knows that if you eat of this tree over here, that you're going to be smart like he is. And he don't want you to be smart like he is. He wants you to be a second-class citizen. All right? And it's a tree of knowledge. You know, that's the tree of knowledge, so you can be smart if you eat. Oh boy, I like that, you know, she said. And it looks good, doesn't it? This is false religion. It looks good, and it's going to feel good because it's going to taste good. They want a God that they can see in the false religion. They want something that makes them feel good, and that's it. That's false religion. All right? True religion is knowing and feeling, and God providing. He does that. In false religion, they get those things all out of order, don't they? They want a God they can see. Why did Aaron build them a golden calf?
Because they demanded something.
They demanded a God that they could see. Demanded a God that they could see. Had God revealed himself to them already? They saw him, they saw his form on the mountain, and the mountain quivered. He spoke, but they wanted one to follow him around like a good luck charm. So Aaron built him a wooden calf and then put gold over it. And it said, "This is Jehovah. Worship him. This is Jehovah." Talk about a slander. That calf was not Jehovah. That wasn't Jehovah that led them out of Egypt. And the world will tell you that too in false religion. False religion will attack the person of God. Charles Hayes Russell, Joseph Smith, Herbert Armstrong all attack the person of God. They say God wouldn't come down here and become flesh. No. Joseph Smith says we're all gods. Isn't that what the serpent said in the garden? You'll be like God. You'll become God. Joseph Smith says, we're gods. Every male Mormon is a god. Herbert Armstrong says, God's off over there, and he sent down angels to procure salvation. Jesus never come. The person of God never came down here. Now, if you do away with the person of the Messiah, you do away with your salvation, don't you? So did Satan win out in that? The Charles Russell's bunch, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they do away with the person of Jesus Christ. If you don't believe who Jesus Christ is, you can't get to heaven. That's the only key. That is the only ticket we have to heaven, is Jesus Christ. All right? That's deceiving. The one deceiving. Plane. The word plane, our word planet comes from it. A planet is in a course in it. A planet is in a designed course. And the idea is, if the planets get out of course, we have shooting stars, don't we? We have comets. What happens when one gets out of course? It causes destruction. Destruction. You just look on places on the earth where comets or asteroids have hit this earth, and it's tremendous destruction. Deceiving the ones down-homing or inhabiting the whole earth. And then it says, he was thrown down to the earth, and the angels of him with him, and they were hurled, thrown out of heaven. All right? Now, they were thrown out of heaven a long time ago, but I don't think this is talking about Genesis 1 and 2. I think this is talking about when they're finally cast out of heaven. And they're thrown into the lake of fire finally. Finally into the lake of fire, that great black hole in the future. Well, that's where we're going to finish for tonight. We're going to start in 12 and verse 10 next week. Satan's wrath is coming. All right?
You don't think this 12:7 is about Genesis 1:2, right?
It does talk about that. Maybe 12 and 9?
12:7, I thought.
Well, 12 and 7.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not.
The war in heaven.
I'm
Okay.
blind.
Now there's going to be another war in heaven. There's going to be a war in heaven again. Okay. And it happened back in Genesis 1 and 2. There was a rebellion. There was a war back in heaven in times past. There's going to be one right here during this period of time also. There's going to be another one right over here, isn't there? It's not over with. At the end of the tribulation period, Satan's going to be thrown into the bottomless pit and locked up. The false prophet and the Antichrist, all of them are going to be thrown into the lake of fire. They're going to be the first inhabitants of the lake of fire. And then finally, in the end time, at the great white throne judgment and everything, we find out we're going to have a new heaven and new earth, and Satan and all of his geeks are going to be thrown into the lake of fire forever, and we won't ever have to hear their names again. That's going to be fun. That's going to be good. If you've ever been pestered by Satan today, you'd be glad to get rid of him. All right? Because he's an interferer, isn't he? He interferes in God's work, always. He interferes in the worship of God, always. Do you have any questions? Pray for Brother John. He had his surgery this week. He had his kidney taken out. They think that they got all the cancer with it. He's recovering. He said he should be here next Sunday night, hopefully. All right. I talked to him. He's feeling better. Just anyway, that's Brother John that always sits over here. Okay. John and Shirley Hayden. All right. Anything? Any questions?
Yeah, how'd your testing go?
I haven't had it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it Thursday. Gotta go in there. Gonna look down my throat. Had some blood tests and stuff like that. Just pray that I don't get what Dakota's got. She's sick. That's why she's not here tonight. She's sick. She's got a earache and her throat's bothering her and she's coughing or stuff like bronchitis. So hopefully she doesn't have the flu or something. She has well, I don't know if she got the swine flu or not, but anyway, she's got something. I hope I don't get it. I hope I can stay away from it, because if I don't, if I get it, I'm not going to get to do my test. And I have to go. My stomach was killing me today. And when I eat, it just hurts like a knife. I mean, sticking a knife in it. And that's not comfortable. And I'd like to find out what they need to do about this thing. All right. Any questions now before you turn you loose on the world? Go out and do something eternal this week. No? You girls are quiet tonight. You usually got a lot of questions. I want you to pray for this young lady right there. This is our last class here, and you're going to be out running around on the road and everything. So pray for Darlene and her travels and wherever she goes, and she'll be keeping up with us by CDs and all of that. So, but remember her as she travels. All right. Brother David, would you dismiss us in prayer, brother?
Our Heavenly Father, thank you for the lesson we've received tonight, and give those that are in need of thy prayers as we travel and so forth, and those that are ill and in need of thy loving care. And be with us this week as we go through life's daily trials. We ask in Jesus' name, amen.
I know, I tried to.